Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. We have Zach back with us. He's been missing in action for a while. Told him it's time to come home and be back with us at the Daily Huddle. So he's back with us today. I'm Kimberly.
I'm Zach, and
We're your hosts today.
we're your hosts on Mondays for the Daily Huddle. And our topic of the day is what are the pros and cons and brutal truths about entrepreneurship? Um, one of those is travel. And so I've been gone for the last couple of weeks trying to keep our businesses going in different parts of the country. And it's been a whirlwind. It's been a lot of fun, but that's part of it is also a lot of work. So
And I didn't have anyone to make my coffee in the morning, so I had to do it myself, which was
wow.
not part of the journey of a year.
The brutal truths right there. Yeah. So, but I know this is a subject that's near and dear to a lot of people's hearts. It's very interesting when I think about entrepreneurship. It back even just when we were coming through. I say even then because I like to remember myself as a young person, but coming through high
Filter makes
school
you
and
look young.
yeah, we like these Zoom filters, but coming through high school and trying to decide what we were going to do for a living and coming out, I'm from a long line of public school teachers and administrators, and Kimberly's family also worked state government, and so security and benefits and salary and systematic paychecks and all those things were a big part of our upbringing. It was never really creative thought and business building and growth. We got those from a second set of mentors that we sought out on our own in our early 20s. And the ideas and the thoughts behind entrepreneurship were something that were a little foreign to most people coming through the traditional education system. I know, late 80s, early 90s, it was, still go to college, get a good job. And that's still the same mantra that I think a lot of our kids, our oldest is in grad school now. Our second's is a senior in college this year, and then we have two that are in high school, a junior and a freshman, and they're still getting some of the same conversations about what do you want to do when you grow up. But their generation as a whole talks a lot more about entrepreneurship and business building and how to create, the idea of being an influencer, which is basically offering a conduit to your contacts, right? Being interesting enough to have people want to watch what you do, and then people pay you to talk about their products or that's really big in that group. So the shift is on, but the reality of it is, and a lot of the people that talk about entrepreneurship only talk about the good stuff. So let's talk about good stuff first. What are the things that when you think of being an entrepreneur, are the things that everybody wants to hear and everybody wants to talk about?
Freedom and flexibility and lifestyle, and having the ability to do what you want when you want to do it and how you want to do it, and nobody telling you what you have to do. Right? There are no rules. You make your own rules, and obviously, maybe you get a little insight to my head, who I am as a person. Like,
That's it.
as I pour coffee all over you, don't tell me what to do. I'll do it.
I'll
I
do it when
remember
I'm ready.
my mom, if she's watching or ever watches this, she'd tell me to clean my room. And Harper could never watch this because she's exactly me. She'd tell me to clean my room. And right when I was about to get started, because I wouldn't do it right then because she told me to, right? I was going to, but just not right then. And then right when I was about to get started, she'd come in and she'd tell me again and just delay it longer. But so anyway, I think that's entrepreneurship, right? Is being able to make your own rules and run your own schedule and run your own life. And for us, that part has been great. It has been amazing. As far as flexibility, you guys have heard our story. We were both school teachers when we first started our careers. We had our second daughter at the time, found the financial services world, transitioned out, and now we have four daughters. And for us, it's allowed us the flexibility to be with them always, right? Like, we can go to their sporting events, we can go to their school events. Our girls are all over the Northeast, I guess now, or at the East Coast anyway.
Yeah.
And we can come and we can go to school and we can visit them and we can watch their sporting events, not just at home. So for us, I think it's given us a lot of freedom and flexibility that obviously we wouldn't have in a traditional job setting.
Yeah. I mean, that piece is the big one, right? Is freedom. And I think that a lot of people will, I know kids, because we experience this with ours, and like Kimberly can tie it back to her own behavior when she was a teenager. Um, and that's why I've dealt with all these things for my kids, because I was a perfect teenager, I'm sure. Did everything I was supposed to right when I was supposed to do it. But from the freedom comes that superhero line, right? With great freedom, or with freedom comes great responsibility, right? And so if you don't show up, then if you're too free, right? You never give yourself guidelines, you never give yourself goals, things to accomplish. Then your business is probably not going to produce a lot of money. Um, but that being said, the financial potential on the other side is one of the other things people get excited about. So I get excited about my time freedom, but I also get really excited when I think about being an entrepreneur about an unlimited and uncapped income source. So whatever that is, you hear of people in all different walks of life on social media that have monetized something. They've come up with an idea, they've come up with a concept, they have made funny videos, like I said before, and garnered an audience. So, but that uncapped income potential is really, really exciting to people that want to be entrepreneurs. So when you're thinking about, I'm going to start my own business, I'm going to do those kind of things. It's a lot of excitement around time freedom and unlimited income.
I had a girl that worked with us. Her name is Avery, in case she's watching. She's amazing and fantastic, but she taught me a really great lesson, or the way she articulated it. She was a school teacher as well, but she taught at a private school. And she had come to work with us early on in our career. And private schools pay a lot less than public school teachers. I don't know if you guys know that or not, but typically they do. And she was talking about needing to make more money. And, of course, in our world, entrepreneurship, you have the ability to do so.
Just close another sale, right? Just do something different.
Just go make it happen because you can. But anyway, obviously she was still working, and she went into her boss and she said, I need to make more money. And he said, I know you do. And I value you and I think you're amazing, but there's no more money that I can give you. And she said at that moment, she would never allow someone to determine her worth again. And to me, like, that's 20 years ago that she said that. And I hear it every single day. And to me, I think that is entrepreneurship. I'm paid exactly what I'm worth. And if I want to make more, then I become a better person. I become a better leader. I become a better mentor. I develop more things, right? I have the ability to do so. If I don't want to make anything, then I just don't go to work, right? I get paid exactly what I'm worth. And I think there's blessings and also consequences in that. But I definitely think the financial potential and a lot of entrepreneurship, I really think is, it's kind of brainwashing yourself, right? Like, you got to brainwash yourself or somebody else is going to, and you have to do it every single day. And people do think you're crazy, and people do wonder why you work so hard when you could just go get a job and probably make the same amount of money and come home at night and turn it off and not think about it. And, but I don't know, it's just.
Yeah, I mean, when you think about uh, brainwashing and being inundated with information, obviously, we're all online right now, whether you're watching on YouTube or whether you're on Zoom with us live. We're on this machine, right? And I read, I guess, a few years ago now that we're inundated in 15 minutes with the same amount of information Ben Franklin had access to in his entire lifetime. And when you think about that ability to process, you think about neurologically and scientifically what we're able to take in and what we're able to process, we filter out what we focus on. So if you're on social media or on any media like this, you're going to find what you're looking for. If it's the phenomenon, if I buy a new car, right? Anybody that's ever experienced this, if I think I want to buy a new, let's just throw one out there, Tesla Model S, something like that, right? So black one. Okay, great. I am going to all of a sudden start seeing Tesla Model S cars everywhere around me because my mind is filtering out the data. It's filtering out what I'm looking for. It's filtering out what I've told it that I want to see. And there's a lot of scientific proof and documentation behind that. So being aware of what you allow in is, brainwashing sounds kind of bad, but it's one of the things that people can hear and they can get. You're really either protecting yourself or washing it in the direction you want it to be, right? I want to see these kind of things. And it can start as simple as, not focusing on the negative, right? That's a double negative, right? But you have to tell yourself, I'm focusing on good things that are around me. And you will all of a sudden start to see that and do that. So that's what she means by brainwashing yourself. There's going to be 1,000 people that are going to tell you can't do it, that it's difficult. And that's in the cons section. We'll get to that in just a few minutes. But the final part that on the just real pros that people think about is personal fulfillment. A lot of people think, I want to do something that I love and I want to make a difference. And how can I do that? Well, I want to turn something that I love into my business. I want to turn something that makes a difference into what I do for a living. And so personal fulfillment's a big thing people look for when they start out on their entrepreneurship journey.
Yeah, I think so for sure. For us, being an entrepreneur, but also leading people and mentoring people, I think that's my biggest personal fulfillment is seeing the people that come to work with us believe that it's possible and start changing from that employee mindset to that entrepreneurial can you say it?
Entrepreneurial, you did.
Yeah.
Good job.
Yeah, thanks. Mindset, and just knowing it is possible, right? Because that is such a shift that we all have to go through. Probably if you're not raised by entrepreneurs, then we've all been kind of brainwashed, right? Grow up, get a job, get a pension, if that is even a thing anymore, which we all know it isn't. But anyway, the personal fulfillment of doing good for others. We talk about it on the Daily Huddle all the time. Give back. And I think you can do so much more, or so much as an entrepreneur, right? With that personal fulfillment, giving back to others, giving back to your community, teaching other people how to be an entrepreneur, and just really doing good for the world.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a very purpose-driven person. If I don't believe, I can't sell anything really. I can educate and help people make decisions. That's kind of how I've approached this business from the very beginning. There's a lot of sales tactics and sales techniques that people will talk about, how to get people to say yes. And those are all psychological things that are great. But for me, like I said, I was from a long line of public school teachers. And so I became a teacher after saying my entire childhood I never would. I went to school, graduated, became a middle school teacher. And it was very fulfilling. Certain aspects of it were. And I felt like I was there to do good, right? And that's why I was there. That's why I agreed contractually to get paid a whole lot less than I could earn other places, is because I had belief in the mission of, teaching youth and doing those kind of things. And I tell this story, and I'll give a brief version of it. Some of you have heard it before. I dug my heels in. Kimberly started in the financial services business. The first year she started in maternity leave, and she made more than both of our salaries combined in the next 9 months in a different industry. But I dug my heels in. I was a purpose-driven person. I had all these kind of things that I fought against her in that light. And then I saw a kid in my class change. I saw that their attitude, their behavior, their inherent happiness change. They smiled a lot more, all these kind of things. And we found out over the dinner table one night that Kimberly had sat down with this kid's mom and dad and basically brought them from what was seemingly the brink of bankruptcy by restructuring some things and doing some things that we had access to put financial peace in their home. And it totally changed this kid's life. And so it was the realization there that I could do so much more for these kids if I just helped their parents understand finance. And so that purpose-driven piece took me into the entrepreneurial world, much more than the ability to make the money or the time freedom. It was, how do I make a difference? And so wherever you are, whether it's the time freedom, whether it's the unlimited zero cap on your income, or whether it's to find that purpose and drive it home, know that those things are going to have to stay front and center as you go into this journey, because what you want to get is not always going to be, it's not going to seem like it's there. You're going to have to go into the next step of that, which is basically understanding that entrepreneurs a lot of times get paid last in their business, right? There's a lot of time that you go through making very little money because you're trying to pay bills, you're trying to get started. If you do have help or you hire people, they have to get paid or they won't come back, right? So there's a lot of countless hours that you put in while you're growing the business that are unseen.
Yeah, I was gonna say, so let's talk about some of the cons of entrepreneurship, right? The financial risk and instability. There've been many times where we're looking at the spreadsheet and we're like, oh gosh, like it's gonna be painful for a minute, or we have to use credit cards or whatever, especially starting out, just to float everything. So I think you have to understand that balance. Obviously, you can't continue to throw effort after foolishness if it isn't turning around and you don't have a projection on what is coming. But a lot of that is management, right? You do have financial risk. You do have instability, especially in the beginning while you're building a brand and building your business and getting up and running. I think once you get past that hurdle, it'll pay you better than anything else in the world, right? But getting past that hurdle is hard. I can tell you some of the biggest mistakes that I've seen people in our industry make, right? You guys know a lot of people come to work with us part-time because we are a 1099 commission business, right? So they build up their income here before they make a decision to leave where they are, just fiscally responsible, right? And so what that means is a lot of times they're leaving their 40-hour job, which is never 40 hours, right? 50 or 60-hour a week job. They're coming here, they're putting in 15, 20 hours a week and really doing everything they can to build it and to grow it. And then they start having big success here. And when they do, they make a decision to leave their job, right? And the biggest mistake I've seen people make is when they leave their job, their employment, right? Remember employee mindset, they don't work as hard here and they don't do what they were doing here because now they're on vacation and now they've earned their freedom and now it's
Yeah.
in their mind they've reached their pinnacle. And a lot of people fail, honestly. Like a lot of people, once they make that transition, 6 months later they go back and get another job because now they're broke when they were on track to be some of the most successful people in our industry and in our business. Why? It's because they think they've arrived. They don't set another goal. They don't continue to push themselves, right? It's vacation, right? They've never had somebody not tell them what to do. When I was a teacher, the bell rang every 50 minutes. I knew every 50 minutes what I had to do. I knew it changed every single time. I didn't have to tell myself, right? Every 50 minutes, it continued to change. That isn't the way as an entrepreneur, right? Like you got to ring your own bells. You got to have your own 50 minutes and have that keep pushing you. You want to say, you look
Well,
like you
no,
want to say
I
something,
mean,
but I'm not done saying something.
well, you
So,
keep right on
no,
going.
you can interject here and then
I
I'll
just
switch
I
stories.
think about, that mindset from employee to entrepreneur, and I think about the way that if you see the employee relationship to an employer, it's the exact inverse of the relationship of an entrepreneur to their income. So when I start a new job, I have a salary and I'm in training and I'm going to get paid that salary from day one. So basically my employer is overpaying me for what I'm able to do for them. They're paying me my full salary for the beginning time while I'm learning and I'm not producing a lot. Well, the more I produce, the more I learn for that employer, the more effective I become in that situation. Then my salary doesn't change, but my productivity goes way up. So they're getting more for their money down the road. The employer is. The employee, on the other hand, is not getting paid equivalent to what they were getting paid before because the salary is the same, but they're worth more. Their value is greater to that. If you think about that from any kind of business that you start on your own, is that you're going to start and you're not going to make a lot of money, right? You're going to start and you're going to be putting in a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and a lot of hours. But when you do that on the inverse, after you put in that groundwork, you're going to get paid a lot more for less work once you get the machine running. So I think it's just getting that employee shift of realizing I need this money right now. Or maybe if you do need it, it's getting to that place like Kimberly said, where you find some way to replace that income on a part-time basis before you jump over, but then realizing I can't just take this time that I've created now by leaving my other job and, go play. I've got to take that time and add it to what I was already doing in my new business and keep myself disciplined between those hours. And that's what keeps that trajectory on that path.
And I'll also tell you is from the financial risk and instability part, we all know how much we have to make every month, right? Like we have
We
some
should.
sort of, we have a general idea, right? Of some sort of bottom line of what has to come in or it's going to be a problem. We kind of know that. And as an entrepreneur, especially as a new entrepreneur, it's hard not to look at that bottom line, look at the commission that's coming in, look at that bottom line, look at the commission that's coming in. But when you do that, you paralyze yourself. So the best piece of advice I've ever had in business is put your head down, go to work, continue working every single day, just go to work, and all of that will work itself out. You don't, if you focus on how much you have to have every month, you'll only make that amount or less. But if you focus on abundance and you focus on working and just put your head down and you go to work, you always have plenty. You can tell them just really quick the rock story, like focusing where you want to go.
Oh yeah. So my dad was an avid whitewater boater, and I grew up, on in a canoe in a lot of cases. And there's I guess it's an unwritten or spoken rule in that world, that you don't look at what you don't want to hit. You don't look at what the obstacle. You look at where you want to go, and your actions, your body, your strength, everything will point you in that right direction. Obviously, there's some skills that you need to acquire to steer the boat, but if you stare at that rock and not at the tongue of the rapid where you want to go, you're going to hit that rock. So remembering that, remembering that mantra in life, right? So when she says, put your head down and go to work, keep your eye on the prize. Don't look at the things or worry about the things that could happen, if they haven't happened already. Keep an eye where you want to go and stay in that direction. So, very good point from that.
So let's talk about our time commitment and sacrifices as an entrepreneur. I think we've kind of talked all around that, but in the beginning, especially, and probably always, you're going to work so much more and so much harder, and your brain is always working, right? You're always thinking of business. I hear something at church, I'm like, oh, that'd be a great business lesson. I hear it in a movie and I'm like, oh, we should take that back and train on it, right? Like driving down through the roads of the mountains, I'm like, oh, I'd like to have a house here. Maybe we can make it an Airbnb so it'll pay for itself, so then I can come and stay as much as I want to, right? Like it just becomes who you are. But I think your time commitment and sacrifices, we've been blessed to be able to spend a lot of time with our kids, but when we spend that time with our kids, that means we might get up at 5 a.m. to do what we have to do so we can have the afternoon to be with our kids. Or, thankfully, I tell people all the time, a really great thing that came from COVID is Zoom. Right? Zoom is reality for everyone now. It's a great way for us to work our business. I'm sure a lot of you guys too that are entrepreneurs. And the beauty is I can do this from anywhere. But it's also the curse, as I can do this from anywhere, right? And so you still have to figure out that work-life balance. And I don't really know that that's a thing. Like maybe that's a bad word that we could talk about one day on a podcast, because I'm sure it's very opinionated from both sides. But I don't know that that's a thing.
Work-life balance.
I think it's something that we all strive for, and obviously we want to be around our family, and obviously we want to continue to work. But I think all through life we'll have it'll flip flop, right? Like work will be super heavy, and maybe family takes a sacrifice, and then family's super heavy, and then maybe work. I think it just always is going to be that way.
But I know, like watching people in our company, in our industry, Kimberly and I have been doing this. We've been in this system that we're in right now for, oh gosh, I don't know, since 2002, right?
Yeah, McKenna's going to be 22 in a couple of days. So that means 22 years.
A long time. And we've had a good life. We've lived the way we wanted to live. We've done things, but there's guys in our company that we're with right now that have come in, and in the last 4 years, they're making, multiple 7 figures, and I've watched what they've done. And some of the things, if you watch motivational things online at all, one of the things they'll say is, guy will reach out from the audience and say, I want to do what you do. Tell me how to do that. And he said, in order to do what I do, you have to do what I've done. And that's work hard and sacrifice. And so that's the difference between their income levels versus ours, is we've lived exactly how we wanted to live. And our mentor says, I can tell you exactly what people are going to do every day. They're going to do exactly what they want to do. Every day when you get up, you're going to make choices to do and be and live where you want to live and do what you want to do. They just made different choices. They made different sacrifices, and they wanted different things. So that's,
I think another fun just tip to that, and then we'll wrap this up really quickly so we can chat for a minute, is if you find someone that's more successful than you, especially in the world that you're in, the business that you're in, ask them to see their calendar. I promise you, that's the decision of if you want to be them, right? Do you want to do what they're doing? Look at their calendar and it'll tell you. Are you really willing to do that? Because it looks glorious and it looks amazing. And I'm sure parts of it are, but it's a different sacrifice. It's a different level. So let's talk just really quick about brutal truths of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
So number one, failure is common, right? We're going to fail a lot. I feel like I fail every single day. And I've been doing this for 22 years. Sometimes I kick myself. I'm like, never leave an appointment without scheduling another appointment. And then I did. And 6 months later, I'm like, hey, can we get back together? Like, it just works that way. So there's some common rules that but failure's common, right, in this business. And I don't think you ever truly fail unless you quit, unless you just finally throw your hands in and give up. But it's constantly recreating yourself or recreating your vision or your path and just trying to, kind of like a GPS, right? Like, all right, where do I go now? What does this look like now, right? My end goal is still the same, but I got to figure out a new way to get there. So that's a big piece of it. I think number two, loneliness and isolation, right? Being an entrepreneur, especially in an industry where you're by yourself, is lonely. Because, without Zack, I mean, who would I yell at every single day? Myself? No. So anyway, it's important to have, if you don't have, like our world, we tell people you're in business for yourself, but not by yourself, because we have a team of people across the country that you can plug into and talk to and be around. But if you don't have a business like we do, find networking groups, find, entrepreneurship groups, something where you can plug in and get that support, because it's so necessary. And then I think the other piece, the other brutal truth of entrepreneurship is, you've got ethical dilemmas and compromises, and you have to make sure that you don't allow money to change your values and to change who you are and to change the decisions that you would make for the businesses that you're in.
Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, when you build something, it's about the foundation. And if you undermine your foundation by building it on sand, going all the way back to basic lessons in Sunday school, you're going to have problems down the road. So always do right. Do right. If the decision is wrong anytime, it's wrong every time. So that's a mantra that I like to go with. But anyway, guys, it's a great conversation. I think a lot of people want to have, but a lot of people need to understand the sacrifice and those kind of things. Anybody have anything that they want to say real quickly before we sign off? I know we got a couple chats that have popped in that
we have a couple of minutes. I know we keep talking. It's because Zack left me for so long. I needed him to speak, right? But any stories you guys want to share? Any tips or nuggets or just things?
All right, Michelle, unmute.
Got to find that unmute button.
Good morning.
So what you're talking about with looking where you want to go is very much the same in motorcycling. And there's so many motorcycle accidents from what we call target fixation. And you see one guy go off the road and you look where he went off the road and you go right after him.
Yeah.
And so it's so important to just keep looking through the turn, keep looking where you want to go, and then you can pull off later and go back and tell your buddy, right?
Yeah. Our first day on a motorcycle. It was nicer than those cars.
Awesome. Motorcycles are awesome. And I could go on and on about why motorcycles are important for families with children.
Oh, well, I would be interested. That could be a whole other podcast. So
because they teach your kids. They teach your kids equality and they teach them confidence.
Yeah. Well, I was told
a
long time ago, I was told when you're not scared of the motorcycle, it's time to sell it. So I sold mine. I also only had a car that I would drive when it was raining because it was an atrocious car. But I got out of the motorcycle business years ago, probably when we had kids. But love to talk to you about that sometime. So
yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Michelle.
But what you're talking about, I worked with young entrepreneurs for a long time, and the lesson that they needed to learn was how to calculate what their time was worth when they were working. And that was where they could figure out where the leak was, why they weren't making money, is they were working on all the paperwork and working on all the back end work. And that left no time for the stuff that generated income.
We
So
call
they
that
really
working
needed to,
in your business instead of working on your business. So we have a lot in our
exactly.
world. You can do a lot of things after hours. And I tell you, anything that doesn't involve someone else in an interaction needs to be done outside of normal business hours. And you need to work on your business while everybody else is available. And so that's a great point there too. Yeah, absolutely.
There's also a great book
Yep.
called The E-Myth, The Entrepreneurial Myth. If you guys haven't read it, it's fantastic. That talks about how to, you can't be everything for your business, right? So how do you start? Who are you, right? Are you the manager or the visionary or the technician or whatever? And then, how do you fill those
How do you
roles?
hire the rest of them?
Yeah, or figure it out. Yeah, but
Right.
so many lessons
Yeah.
on entrepreneurship for sure. Thank you for sharing. Anybody else have anything they want to say really quickly before we sign off for the morning? All
All
right.
right, guys. Well, since I've been gone, I'll go through this because I've been gone for the last couple of weeks.
I know.
But remember our 8 tenets at the Daily Huddle. It goes back to that: do the right thing, right? So number 1, love. Number 2, laugh out loud. It's healthy. It makes you feel better. Stress less. Focus on the good things. Remember to tell your mind what you want it to find, and it'll find more of it. Take care of your body. Know what you're going to eat and eat, and know what it's going to do to you, right? Give of your time, of your money, of whatever you can to others. Sleep, get your rest, move, get your exercise, and finally take that pause between stimulus and response. I think that's one opportunity we all have to change the outcome of our interaction, is take that minute. So in our immortal words, check yourself before you wreck yourself. Not my words, song lyrics, but it's the same thing. Give yourself a minute before you react. So
And make sure you like us and subscribe to us and follow us on YouTube so you can see us even if you're not here.
that's right. All right, guys. Thanks for your time. See you same time, same place tomorrow morning on the Daily Huddle.